Thanks for joining, man. Really
Yeah,
great to see you. We don't talk enough.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So this is super casual. It's really just
Okay.
you and me chatting, going kind of swapping notes and talking shop. That's really all this
Okay, great.
is. What have you been up to?
It's not one size fits all. Like literally, I realized expanding a business, this is the realization I had today, is kind of like curing cancer. I know that sounds crazy, but like when my mother was battling cancer, I saw so many different protocols, right? And I
Hmm.
realized with that mind, body, spirit relationship, I met people who were on death's door literally 6 months previous, and then they were cured. I met people who then didn't make it, right? And I realized a business is kind of like a body, like it's not the same one to one. And what I'm seeing now that I'm marketing this new agency's services is that people have success with one route, just like some people have success with one, like the Gerson protocol. So when I go, this is it, and then they're going to tell you, Mike, if your parent was dying, like this is what you need to do, and it's because they had massive success at that one thing. But it's not the same business to business. Like
Right.
you and I have mutual friends that are killing it with funnels, killing it.
Yeah.
But then I have Harley Davidson as a client, and I was in touch with them as much as last week, and I was like, this will not work for a very analog community where the entrance point of the Harley Davidson demographic is 47 years old. So it's led me to like sort of relook at even what am I promoting to people? What PR is universal, company to company? What is not company to company? What digital marketing? And I've just kind of realized like there's no monopoly of any one tool. I think it's a healthy mix. Um,
Totally.
and as simple as that sounds, that's not how people look. People come to me going, "Well, it's between you or about to launch a major digital ad campaign for 5 to 10 grand a month." And I go, "Okay, these are very different things that achieve similar results, but with different qualities." So it's a long-winded answer to your question of that's what's been on my mind, like having that nuanced conversation.
Totally. I think you're right on the money. I think that in the same way that you could apply looking at the statistics of a specific business and then going, okay, where are we and what's it going to take to get us to the next level? There are certain fundamental actions that you could speak about in a general sense of like, okay, you need to promote or you need to uh, prepare your factory or whatever it is so that you can actually deliver your goods or services, whatever the case may be. There's certain sort of fundamentals that you could speak about in a vague sense, but the application creatively of those steps that are individual to you as a person or you as a business, that's where the creative application of those fundamentals will come about, where you go, okay, here's an idea that I think will work for you, but won't work for that guy. Will 100% work for Harley Davidson, but maybe won't work for this peptides company because they're different communications. They're different ways of approaching. There's different angles. There's different journalists that you're going to talk to. But if you break it down and really abstract it to its simplest form, what you're doing is similar for one client to the next, but the way that you do it is different.
Because people have had successes with any one of these one outlets. It could be an ad, a pay-per-click ad. It could be a video on social media. It could be a pod, whatever. That's their only route for expansion, and it's not a strategy. It's a route. And the problem is sometimes it leads to a best practice, which isn't really a best practice. If I'm on LinkedIn and I see all the posts, they're just all written. They've all got 6 emojis. They all start with "Let's be honest here." I'm going, because they go, well, this is what works on LinkedIn. Well, just because it doesn't mean that that is the best practice. It might be a commonality, right? It might have worked for one person, and it
Hmm.
might maybe get a result, but it doesn't mean that it's the right result. And so what I've kind of extrapolated from that was there are different qualities of the same result. Let me explain what I mean. Like here's where the conversation gets nuanced. This is what we've been discussing internally is, but they're different qualities of visibility, and that's the difference. And it's not that one is better than the other. Like I think that there is a healthy mix, and for one company, maybe it's more digital marketing than PR. But like in my space where we operate, which as you know, we've over the last quarter shifted completely to values-based business or wellness. And so that visibility is very different than just being seen. Those guys could, if you have an integrative medicine clinic and you're curing long COVID, Lyme, cancer,
Hmm.
um, uh,
Epstein Barr.
yeah, you need trust. And this is coming out of pocket. Most of these things, these alternative methods are not being covered by insurance. So there's a huge amount of skepticism in these solutions, even though they save lives. So when people are, for example, searching online, or maybe the critical parent or spouse is searching online, maybe the person wants it, but like, why are you doing this when our insurance covers the trash your immune system chemo at the Mayo Clinic? That visibility is everything. So if you had an integrated medicine practice and there was, I'm making this up, 36 articles online, some thought leadership pieces, a lot of folks talking about it, case studies, that visibility has a very specific quality to it. It's not just being seen. That visibility is designed to engender trust, and then that trust would fuel growth, as different from, and if you leaned all in on digital marketing, let's just say this was a watch company, and you go like vintage '67 Rolex, whatever, 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 and you can pound it, you can get visibility. It could work, right? So whereas maybe media in that instance isn't the right thing. But for example, if somebody hit one of my wellness clients that really depend upon that patient trust with a bunch of ads, they go, okay, this looks interesting. If they then go to Google that solution, there's nothing there, that there's a void, there's sort of an awareness gap, then it dies. Whereas if you have the perfect marriage, this is a conversation we've had where we take you and me, where, well, what if in the case of the wellness clinic, you lead with a year, it doesn't have to be a year, it could be 6 months, but really effective media campaign, thought leadership pieces, byline pieces, niche publications that reach specific educated audiences, more broad ones that reach things that people are looking for online, not by name, but by solution. So what if you like did a whole credibility campaign for 6 months to a year for that? Then you follow it up with a digital marketing expert, which could be everything from a website to branding to paid ads, whatever. Well, now when they see those, it's got something to hang on to. So this has been a big topic of ours because I'm having people say, well, should I do this or should I do this? And I go, it's not really an appropriate question. You should do them both. It's just a question of experimenting with like
Right.
finding the right mix.
And
That's
also
been
about the sequence of those steps, because a really effective PR campaign is going to warm an environment for marketing and advertising to then be effective. Like you say, if you just scattershot all of these ads, it's going to bounce right off your audience. It's not going to engender any kind of trust. In fact, it'll probably do the opposite. So
agreed. Depending on the nature of your product, though, maybe for this vintage inspired 1967 Rolex watch, it could work. But for wellness or values based, to your point, it will engender distrust. So I'm just
right.
saying this is an interesting
Totally.
nuance.
But if you break it down, you look at, okay, over the last 100 years, there has been enough of a PR campaign that watches are a good thing to wear. They make a man look good. They make a woman look elegant, right? There's all of
Yeah,
these things that have already warmed the environment. That job has
yes,
been done.
that's
So it's
fair.
not like you need a whole lot of opinion leader pieces or some kind of thought leadership campaign to go, well, watches are probably a good thing, and this is why, and here's the study, and it makes you look more intelligent. Or like that part's already been done. That you can check that off on the list,
That's
right?
fair.
So the advertising will come in. You go, well, I like to look at that, and oh, look, that celebrity's wearing that Breitling watch, or you know, you watch a tennis tournament, and Rolex is the timekeeper for whatever, right? So
Right.
then now the environment's already warm enough for advertising and marketing to then be effective. In the case of something that doesn't have that kind of public trust, like alternative medicine, where there is some skepticism around it, and it is very, very passionately held opinions by people because it's their health, it's their well-being, right?
Sure.
So, and people are searching for these answers. So, sure, they're going to look at something, they're going to do their research. And if they're already looking into the alternative medicine field, they're very, very actively searching. So, to find those studies, to find those bylines, to find all of those things are going to do exactly the right thing, which will engender that trust in the audience and the prospective customer.
Agreed. But I'm having to educate clients on that fact because PR has been mishandled isn't the right word. It's been misapplied or mispromoted. People go for vanity PR, like let me put Mike Falkow and Meritus Media and seemingly everywhere. It's this misconception of what is an influencer. I talked about this in an interview recently where I mean, I'm embarrassed to say because they're my friends, but I have friends that have leased Ferraris and they'll wear some watch and they'll be in their media feed like, so I was talking to my friend Mike, and and it's just people see right through that, right? And so consequently, it gives PR a bad name. But if it's done strategically, if it's not vanity, I feel people eventually see through what I call vanity PR. I don't have a better term for it.
Yeah.
But if it's done authentically, if the storytelling is strong and it intersects with your client's need, with what the reporter or the respected publication is writing about, that little intersection, then you nail it and then you get that credibility. It has to be a respected publication to a target audience that you want. And I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, but people don't realize this. They'll give me a wish list of publications and I go, well, that might give you a little bit of social proof just by searching that you exist, but it's not going to bring people to you, right? And that led to another discovery that Franco, my partner, and I just discovered with 100% of our clients. And I never saw this coming. Most of them, most all of them, or all of them have had great products, great services, and in actual fact, their brand name was pretty damn good. Like if you were to search in your case for Meritus Media or Mike Falkow, like great presence. Their website was spectacular, but 100%. If of all my current newly onboarded clients, if I were to search for whatever service or product it is that they solve, let's say it was curing long COVID,
Hmm.
all roads do not lead to Rome. Like I had one client that in 2000, since 2008, she's just the number one at what she does. But if you search her, incredible presence, credible website. But if you search the problem that she solves, literally might second or third page Google if you're lucky, which makes you
Right.
go, if you're already this successful, if you actually had the proper PR to promote your solutions in your category rather than your name, what could you do? So these have been topics that we've been not debating, but just discussing internally, these nuances of recognition of your solution or the problem that you solve versus just the company name. I just took on a dream client where for the first time we were able to work together and I'm actually got the full discovery from the person that did the branding and the marketing, got on the phone with them and it was a dream and I could take all of their work and put it into mine. And so that's kind of a dream. But in an uneducated market, uneducated meaning the customers, I have to find the nuance of getting them to see that they're both good. It's just what's right for you, and it's not a right or wrong answer, right?
Yeah, and it's all hand in glove. The other thing I think that I could say about the state of PR and certainly the perception of PR in the public realm and in the eyes of those who could be your clients, right? I think the term PR hasn't been misapplied as much as it's been misunderstood. And I think a lot of it has to do with like college kids coming out and going, I know how to use Instagram. I can be your
Right.
PR girl, right? Which is fair. I'm not taking shots at people starting out in fashion PR or whatever. It's just that it's an easy example to give, right? Now, not understanding the basics of PR and the purpose of PR and its relationship to marketing, and and to your point, its relationship to SEO, right? So all of these things need to work in concert. It needs to be all of a piece, and the one hand needs to speak to the other hand. And like you say, the discovery and all of this stuff needs to work in collaboration. It's kind of like a film set. It's a collaborative art form. Same thing with all of these various arms of promotion, let's say, whether it be PR, marketing, advertising, etc., branding, and it has to do with the identity of who you are as a company, who you are as a brand, what you have to say, what you have to offer, and how you communicate that, right? And then there's ways of doing that. Now, the misunderstanding of PR is like, oh, PR is getting me the cover of X magazine. Okay, fine,
Right.
good for you. But
Right.
what did that do for you? Did it actually warm the environment? Did it
Right.
actually make good works well known? Did it actually improve your relationship with your public? Right.
Right.
What it's Cutlip and Center is like the old book on PR.
Yeah.
How many PR professionals have actually read that book is a good question. So
Depends on what they've been. I've got literally got a copy 6 feet from me. So,
yeah, I've got one right here. That's what I was looking at.
amongst others, will be. So, first off, just to validate what you said on PR being misunderstood, it's why my company is Halo Communications and not Halo PR.
Right.
Just to try to differentiate, is this communications is a broader topic that tends more to do with company expansion and theoretically it crosses a little bit into Marcom. So there's that. And then to your point,
Yeah,
the second
the lanes aren't clearly delineated anymore, which is interesting, which makes it a fun conversation between two colleagues like ourselves, right? We're
right.
professional peers, and we go, well, we don't do the exact same thing, but we're cousins, like we're stepbrothers almost.
Right. Well, that's why I say they're, from a layman's perspective, you get the same result. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. They give a different quality of result.
Yeah.
Like I gave visibility as an example. You could give tremendous visibility. I'm giving a different kind of visibility. It's strategically placed visibility meant to give authority or credibility, which engenders trust, which then fuels the growth. To your point, they go hand in hand. Where it gets confusing is the two are breeding together. So I've got a regenerative medicine clinic on the East Coast that wants to start Q1 of next year, and they're already working with a digital marketing firm, and they're spending thousands of dollars a month on something that's basically a hybrid PR marketing thing. So they're having this person the doctor make 2-minute videos on various subjects, Lyme, whatever, and placing them online. Okay, fine. That could be very much a pure PR move. It's visibility, it's credibility. That's like your Dr. Berg, Dr. Eric Berg, right? The guy's got massive amount of content, pure service. It's not, there's no CTA, there's no funnel. I mean, maybe there's a larger funnel, but it's tremendous education. It's a pure PR thing. But then what they did with those 2-minute videos is at the end, if you like this, click on this. We've got a 15 question questionnaire, which they then use to prospect that person. Would you like to receive a call to talk more about this? And then it becomes a lead gen thing. And then they give 850 leads, theoretically 850 leads. That's a lot of hypothetical qualified leads, period, for anybody, for anything. But that's
Yeah.
the number that I was given, right, to this regenerative doctor. And I'm going, well, now that's interesting because pure education, not necessarily saying come in for my X service, not here's what my X service costs, but straight up, if you do, I'm making up a service, whatever. If you do X service, it's not even that. It's just saying here's the benefits of such and such. And if you did such and such, and we've cured this, and you should look into that. That's a straight up PR particle. It's not a marketing particle. But then they attach this marketing arm, and I'm going, well, so the guy says, should I do that? And I go, well, yeah, because I'm going to say err in the direction of more promotion than not, no matter what, whatever promotional action you're doing. The first half of that is a straight up PR play. Like I would do it. I'm about to, with this new agency, I'm about to load up videos, straight up education to help people, give them some secret sauce, put this up if I can. But then they've attached this marketing thing. So now we're not just cousins, we're spooning, we're snuggling, we're like braided together. And that's not something that's covered in old school but timeless Ogilvy or Cutlet. Like it is this new hybrid thing. So I have to tell the guy, it's not a yes or no. What I did tell him was, before you spend a fortune on that, check the leads. If you legitimately get 850 qualified leads for a $60,000-$70,000 service, then it's worth its weight in gold. And I
Hmm.
surrender, right?
Right.
But I know that's not going to be the case. But let's just see what it is. If it is, continue it, right? I said, but again, you're doing all these ads. But if that's meant to drive business to your clinic, then after they research you, the doctor, because they just watched this cool little 2-minute, not infomercial, is there a word for educational commercial?
Yeah.
Educational spot.
Edu
And then
content,
they
whatever.
search
Yeah.
you and there's nothing on you online. Like right now, there's literally one bio and 2 articles. You're dead in the water. So like
Right.
all of that marketing spend, it's the same conversation, could go a million times faster. And I said, so it's not about should you do it? Am I the judge, jury, and executioner of that? It's just I see it as there's no one monopoly. There's a healthy mix of everything. And so it's like you said, it's the same thing. They're cousins. So it's just trying to educate the marketplace. If I had my dream and it's only happened with one client so far, it would be like I go in on a client with you and we do the discovery together, or one of us got there first and did the discovery and we share it. And I go, okay, I've done this. And you go, brilliant. Here's what I'm going to do for the branding, for the web, for the pay per click, for the digital on web presence, for the SEO. And then we talk about how to work it together, because I've learned from companies like you. For example, we just did a regional interview on me, like in a local LA publication, which on the surface you go, it's not LA Magazine. You could say it's not an A-list publication per se. However, one, it's evergreen, it stays out there forever. So but more importantly, what I've since discovered is that digital marketing companies are trying to game Google, and Google's trying to game digital marketing companies. Like everybody's,
Yeah.
it's like that old Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoon. There was like a sheepdog and a wolf. They check into work and then they fight all day and they check out, right. So like there's this.
Right.
So what I've discovered recently, and this could change in a month, just to be clear, but if Google sees Meritus Media or Mike Falkow was in local ads around Los Angeles, in their eyes, that represents, well, he is involved in his local community. He's integrated. He is clearly a credible business. This is credible media. And then they will rank you on higher and or first page Google rankings, because it communicates they're not just trying to game the system. And so consequently now, all of a sudden I've got an SEO element
Hmm.
in addition to you having an SEO element. So once again, so now we're like this first cousin, right? And this is the conversation we've been having for like 2 months. My partner and I have trying to find that symbiotic sweet spot with digital marketing where we have a niche and they have a niche, but if it's together.
Yeah, and it becomes a symphony at that point,
Yeah,
where
I like
where
that.
where all of the pieces are working together. Steve Jobs would talk about this, where he goes, he said this to Steve Wozniak. He goes like, you're the best in your row, right? But I'm the conductor. And
Oh,
so
that's cool.
what you need is a conductor to really have the overall view of the whole thing and how these things work together in symphony. And like you say, Rand Fishkin spoke about this recently. He's been talking about it a lot, of this zero click search, which is another aspect to the whole search thing. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is where it ties into the activities of thought leadership campaigns and PR and all of the evergreen content and stuff, right? Where AI is now giving these little summaries of search on the first page of your search results. And a lot of people aren't going any further than that. And it becomes a
Right.
zero click search. They never click through to anything else because they got their answer to the question. Same thing with AI. It's being turned into like these ChatGPT and whatnot are being turned into search engines. And what they do is they aggregate all of the information that's available out there on the web into a single answer.
Mhm.
And so if your work has been done well, then your SEO will take care of itself to some degree. You'll start to dominate those results of the zero click search and the AI search results, because the content that it's aggregating is your content and the
True.
content of those who are talking about you, which you've had your PR guy go and do, right? So it
True.
becomes really interesting, and that's where it becomes this beautiful symphony of like, when it works well, when it works badly, it's a whole different
You can take
conversation.
that one level further, which my head of editorial in my company has figured out, which is it's going even beyond what you just described, where people are now, instead of going to Google, are going straight into
Hmm.
ChatGPT and punching in their search. So he has been
Yeah.
researching and finding the algorithms of where can we strategically place our clients that's going to get them seen in all of the AI ChatGPT's searches as opposed to online as well. Now, to your point, the more that we have online, which validates a PR viewpoint, the more ChatGPT will aggregate. And if you control that story with both your digital marketing and your PR, then you control your message in ChatGPT or whatever learning module you want. But that's become an extension of what we've done. That's not a strategy, but it's a tactical thing that we've had to be sensitive to. Just like I said, like I would have discounted local media on me or on something if I didn't have a local clinic. Like if I have a local CrossFit gym and I have to do PR on them, man, if I get local media on them, like I'm gonna have three, four, 5x their business. Like
Yeah.
if at least if I know where all the people are living and what they read. Whereas if it's a national brand, I'm like, eh. But now we actually have in our strategy, within the strategy, not the strategy, a certain quarter we aggressively hit local media to boost their for an SEO boost. Like it's
Well,
just
it's interesting you put it that way, that the difference between a tactic and a strategy, and by definition, of course,
right.
but it's not often thought of that way.
Right.
I just wanted to flag that because I love that you put it in those terms.
Yeah, thanks. I've had to explain that because somebody asked me, would we do something? And that was my response. And that's another thing I'm having to do is to move away from communications terms into speak that's understandable by CEOs or founders of typically small to medium sized businesses. This agency isn't really at the moment playing in the enterprise space. And what brought this home was I was having a talk, honestly, not dissimilar to this, Mike, like this kind of a nuanced talk, and to a very smart gentleman, and it just went over his head. And I thought, I'm not resonating. And out of frustration, I said, literally, literally how this happened. I go, listen, okay, if they can't see you, they won't choose you. It's literally what I said, right? If people can't see you, they won't choose you. And he goes, oh. And literally, I told my partner, like, I think we should change the company line from, which started off as we shine the spotlight, you take the stage, which sounds very Hollywood and it makes sense to like, if people can't see you, they won't choose you. I'm like, is there a better, what is the concentrated orange juice of like why PR? But it's
Right.
just interesting that that resonated, but not everything you and I just discussed, which I thought is a really valuable conversation to a business owner, but his expertise is what they do. Integrative medicine, or we've got a all sugar-free sweets company, or we've got, but I just thought it was funny that simplicity, I go, there's nothing wrong with simplicity. Maybe we should actually change that, the tagline to that.
Yeah. Well, you know what's
Because
funny
it's
is like the PR crowd and the marketing crowd can, no offense to anyone watching this, but can to some degree be a little bit beard strokey.
for sure.
And be a little bit like an art crowd, where it's like we talk about things that other people don't talk about. We use words that other people don't use. We have our own little clicky nomenclature and so on. I find a lot of times if I'm talking branding or design or web structure or whatever with someone, I'll use analogies like building a house, just because that's understandable. And it's not I'm not talking to them about the color wheel, and I'm not talking to them about things that are like outside of their reality. It's just outside of their experience. And so it's sort of like I'm getting these blank looks. I'm like, okay, put it this way. We're building a house, right? And we're going to have these rooms in it. And each
Yeah.
room has to have a label on it. So you know what's behind each door. And so things like that where, and that's a silly example, but oftentimes you have
No,
to do that, where you have to
it's
kind of get
not.
off your high horse and off of your intelligentsia sort of beard strokey thing, and be like, let's have a real conversation. If they can't see you, they won't choose you. It's a very simple concept, and everyone will understand that. It's
Right.
it's brilliant, actually.
Yeah, thanks. In all candor, it happened by accident, but it resonated so much that I literally changed it on my LinkedIn page. And they go, it's sort of. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not a big advocate. I should say a bunch of my friends are really heavily into that story branding book right now, and I have a copy over here, which is its own viewpoint on marketing. But what I do very much like about that book is they have this viewpoint, which is it shouldn't take someone a long time to figure out what you do. If they go to your website or see your copy, and they call it burning mental calories, they go, nobody should be burning mental calories trying to figure out what you do. And that
100%.
really resonated with me. And that's when I go, it's not sexy. I'm used to having sexy because I'm a former entertainer, Hollywood. I like sexy. But I go, I don't need sexy. I need work. I need someone to look at my
You need
card and go.
effective.
So I haven't put it in print yet, but I'm honestly considering just having Halo Communications. If people can't see you, they won't choose you. Like it's just such
I
a
think it's genius. It's really a stroke of genius, because it's one of those things of like, I'm a big fan of abstraction. And what I mean by that is you look at a Christmas tree and you abstract it down to, a rectangle and a triangle in its simplest form, but still recognizable and instantly communicates. That to me I'm a big fan of that.
Do you, I'm just
And
curious, since you come from a surf background, do you ever use your professional surfing to communicate I'm just really curious, concepts to customers? Or is that not really a workable?
one thing that I can use as an analogy is that when you're on a big wave, you have zero time to consider the outcomes of what you're doing. You need to make a choice and commit to it. And because he who hesitates is lost, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you don't fully commit to that thing and then follow through to that outcome, it's the problems are going to happen in the hesitation, and in surfing terms, you're going to fall down and potentially be held underwater for a while. So,
Yeah. I'm just curious. Like I'm
that
assuming
applies to a lot of
storytelling and
things in
messaging. So I'm
life.
just curious to see how, like, you're very multifaceted, professional actor, former professional surfer. Like, I'm always interested to see how people's facets to their existence or their epic chapters inform them. Like, people know me now, not maybe 30 years ago as a PR guy, but you've known me for a long time. You knew me as a professional musician, right? So,
Yeah.
truth be told, I'm in my music studio right now. There's even a sign on the door that says studio. And if you look behind me, so there's a piece of art, but above it, there's a big white, up
Hmm.
until like that white strip. So, up until a week ago, there were 7 guitars on that strip.
Oh, wow.
And I just got booked. I think it was on David Meltzer, and he's got like a ridiculous following, like 2 million people. And I went, okay, I don't think this is quite the message. Like, it's going to be distracting from my conversation if somebody sees 7 guitars. So I thought, but you know what is a part of who I am? And a lot of my analogies when I talk to my clients are music, right?
Right.
Like, and so I kept literally like, I just put a piece of art there and I intentionally kept like one guitar in my amp just to kind of like as a nod. And it was a conversation point, right? But like as an example, I will get something. That's what I wanted to know about your surfing, where a client will give me a wish list where it's all A-list, what we call tier one publications. So it's like, Derek, I want a cover story, Q1 on the cover of Advertising Today. And I go, okay, Mike, this is pause, right? And so I go, look, I come from a music background. All bands, when you ask them what they want, global domination. You're 17 to 22 years old. I want to rule the world. I want to play. If you're in UK, it's Wembley or the O2 Arena. If you're here, it's Madison Square Garden. Like it's universal, right? I go. There's literally, I've had this conversation with clients. There is no substitute, no way around. You form your band, you just have to go play a crappy bar. There's literally, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe now you've got Spotify, but like if you're a live act, you ultimately have to go play a live bar, invite all your friends or your schoolmates out and see what happens, right? There's no escaping that. And then you build up that following and you build up that following to a crescendo. And I always have to say, like, media is the same way. Like, I could get you on the cover of Rolling Stone tomorrow, but it would just go over people's heads, even if I got it for you. I said, whereas if I spent 8 months putting you in some niche publications, some music blogs, a newsletter on the hip bands coming out of LA, the Roxy's list of top 5 acts. Like if I did this little crescendo for 6, 7, 8 months to a year, and then you land on the cover of Rolling Stone, then it's just like boom, massive sales, which is kind of what happened organically to Billie Eilish. I mean, I remember hearing about this girl. She lives 50 minutes away from me, and it was like this little prodigy and her brother, and it was, and now of course 17 Grammys. So I was just curious, because you mentioned like you're always using examples to communicate. I end up using music. That's why I just was curious to
Yeah.
see if you did.
Well, there's a couple. I mean, one to that point is if you just picked up a surfboard for the first time, you're not paddling out a pipeline. That's just not going to happen, right? So it's sort of like you need to learn to walk before you can run kind of deal.
Right.
Same kind of thing. You're not going to play Madison Square Garden before you play the Troubadour.
Hmm.
So the other thing is this, which is, I think this is actually more of an analogy that applies, and it's less of an analogy. It's more of just a skill set of when you get held underwater, your body's reaction instinctively is to tense up and fight. That's going to make you drown quicker.
Mm.
So you have to train yourself to relax in times of very, very high stress. And I've had it with people very close to me. They go, why aren't you angry? Why aren't you freaking out? And I'm like, it's become a reflex at this point. I've trained myself into it, where if things get chaotic around me, I get very still. And so that serves me in a lot of areas, not just in business, but that's something that I've pulled out very rarely, but once or twice in chaotic situations with a client or whatever. I'm like, let's not drown.
But does that mentality come from surfing? Like, have you desensitized as a professional surfer? Did you need to, if only by experience or intentionally, kind of desensitize yourself to that so that if you have a major mishap or the crazy amount of water is coming down on you, you sort of train yourself to be calm and get through it, as opposed to when you're younger, flip out? Like, did
Oh
that come
yeah,
from that
it's
experience, or is it just analogous?
no, I had some pretty, gnarly moments, and it's from those moments that you sort of realize, and then you talk to other surfers of like, no, you're expending too much oxygen by fighting it, and that's why you were coughing up heaps of water when you came up, and so it's something that you have to. It's completely counterintuitive. It's like
Yeah.
the water's pressuring down on you, like, and you're in real danger, and it's a survival instinct to fight against it, to try and kick yourself up to the top. But the more you do it, the more you're expending oxygen, the more you're expending energy, and it becomes an exponential pathway to eventually drowning if you keep it up, right? So it doesn't make sense to go, okay, let me just go ragdoll, but it's the only way to make it out.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
You and I are what, 2.5 hours from San Diego, and I've seen a bunch of documentaries on BUDS. You familiar with BUDS? It's basic underwater demolitions training for the SEALs.
Oh yeah.
And they have what they call Hell Week. So I think it's 10 days where it's just massive amounts of sleep deprivation, freezing cold water, exercises like carrying huge boats and logs, and borderline drowning humans. And then they try to crack the humans. And they say like if you watch a documentary, it's like, oh, just come out of the water, ring the bell if you're done, we'll give you some hot
Hmm.
chocolate. And they're, but when you talk to these guys that make the cut, they train to become kind of desensitized to being cold, to being nearly drowned, rather than freaking out, to sort of be what you said, that counterintuitive floppy whatever to survive. And I was always intrigued by that. I'm not that. I'm a different version of that kind of a Zen, because that's more of a physical, a mental sternness, no matter what you're going through physically. But in PR, to your point, you talk about with your clients. So a subset of what we do, it's not our main service, although I have decades in it, is crisis management.
Right.
So I've had situations where I've had clients who were attacked for as many as six magazine issues in a row, attacked.
Hmm.
And their CEOs, they're making tens of millions of dollars and they take it very personally. They're very, very upset. They're in a foul ass mood. And it's a major deal, and all the executives and people are the recipient of that foul mood, and it's very upsetting. And that happens no matter the size of the company. And so when I was not dumb, but when I was young and untrained, those were very stressful situations. Having been through a bunch of those kind of fires, both in the tech space as well as with celebrities, now kind of like you, with the surfer analogy, I'm Zen. I'm almost like a doctor. I'm not even phased, and I recognize it as a part of my hat or my function. Where if you were deeply upset, like Derek, da 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 da, da, and I go, I completely hear you, Mike. It's my job to spread calm, contain the chaos, and then direct my client, like, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And then to give them the next direction and get them through that storm. And I know I'll get through it, but only because I've been through a bunch of them, right? But they
Right.
haven't. And it's really stressful for a CEO when they come under attack. And sometimes I have to give them perspective. Like this is how I have to calm them down. Like I go, listen, a few weeks ago, nobody even knew who you are. You just
Right.
went viral by making this comment on social media, and all of a sudden you have 380,000 followers. You're being trolled by 10,000 people, and you've got whatever all these comments, and you're freaking out. I go, but like, hey, if just as a communications professional, the good news is here is all the attention is on you. So now the game becomes let's turn all that adversity to advantage. Everybody's looking. So now let's just control that narrative. Don't worry. I know it sucks, but we'll get you through. And they go, okay, I go, I promise. I've been through this a million times. And then we get them through. But kind of like you with your surf analogy, that came from many years of experience, initially being in terror because I was so young and the CEO was yelling at me. You saw this to now super
Yeah.
zen, right?
Yeah, a lot of that comes from certainty of an outcome too. Like,
Oh yeah, I like that.
and
I like that word. Sorry.
the same goes for like being held underwater. I'm certain of the outcome that I will make it through. And so in a situation where all of this attack is coming in a reputation management or a crisis management type situation, you're certain of the outcome because you know your business and you know that you can turn this around for a positive spin in the end at the end of the day. Obviously, taking into account that the executive didn't actually bury a body in the backyard or something,
Right.
truth matters.
It depends. Yeah.
Right. But
But sometimes they do bury a body in
taking
the
those things
backyard, and
into
you're going,
account,
okay, how do I? But yeah, but yeah, you're right.
yeah, at that point you might go, maybe this isn't the best fit.
Well, you bring up interesting points. So we have been in a situation where we've opted not to move forward with certain clients. In fact, we've started to put clauses in our contracts where I didn't see this coming. I chose the wellness space because it's a cheesy word, but I don't have a better one. When I've been sick or I've had body problems, let's just say that is my healing path, meaning like before, I mean, I'm not saying if I don't need an antibiotic, I won't take it, or if I go to get a colonoscopy, but I mean, like, generally speaking, I've solved major health crises with integrated medicine. It's been an incredible route for me. And what the doctors had proposed would have had me with injections and drugs, including recently. And then all of a sudden I go over here and it's completely handled. So I was like, oh, I was chatting with my partner. I really like this area. I would like to shine a light on what I think is deeply important, often underlooked work. These guys are going against the vested interests. Well, then we started getting a bunch of prospective clients we're chatting with, and I go, oh, this is fun. Well, then I find one integrated medicine practice is not necessarily the same to the next,
Hmm.
right? It's almost like talking philosophy or religion. And then so suddenly I was like, some people think it saved their lives. Some people think it's a total scam, sham. And so we started to put some clauses in our contracts like, hey, in the discovery, sometimes you don't know. It could be a protocol like a cancer protocol, like I said, with my mom. Like some people had saved their lives, some didn't. So you have to allow for it's not a science in the mind, body, spirit area. But if all of a sudden things are leaning really, really bad, now we ask, okay, can you please give us 25 to 50 testimonials over the 10 years that you've been open of who you've solved? Long COVID's not a good example, but cancer or Lyme or whatever it
Sure,
is,
yeah.
right? And then if we think that it's not in our favor, we don't want to promote them because even if they pay us top dollar, it reflects poorly on us. So to your point, that's become something I didn't expect to see, meaning like we've had internal discussions of like, I don't think we should take this person on. If we promote them and bring business, not only is there a possible legal exposure to us if we're promoting their promises indirectly, but how do
Yeah,
we
but
feel about
there's also a psychic tax,
it? Yes.
that happens, and I'm sure you've had experiences like that, where the juice is not worth the squeeze. It doesn't matter how much money you owe me. I have a sort of a lane that I stay in, and it's kind of like My version of it is first do no harm, right? So it's sort of like a Hippocratic thing, but it's on aligns with my own moral outlook and so on. So, there's certain clients that I just won't even take on. And that's my thing. It's like I reserve the right to refuse service to anyone kind of thing.
I think it's important, but I think you can only have the discussion as you kind of mature and get older. When you're young, I don't think you care, generally speaking. But I
No,
very
I
much,
made
I
some
mean,
horrible
that's a
decisions
generality,
based
but
on money alone when I was younger. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like I did things that I would never do now. I don't mean nefarious, but I am structured differently morally. Like when I formed this is a newer agency, as you know. When I told you, hey Mike, I'm going after wellness. What kicked it off was from our promotion, I had a client come to me who had a very high growth. I told you this, I think, over a little gathering. High growth med spas. Like they were just like within the space of a month, we've got one in here. Like they were just opening them up at a rapid pace and they wanted us to do the PR. And I go, this is fantastic. This could be a dream. We could specialize, be the med spa king, right? And I thought, I love it. I love it. Then I started researching med spas. I started looking at their social media, and it was so not vapid. What's the word? Just so just like come in and get your fat shot today. It was literally that was an app like and it was just like the worst of what Hollywood gets criticized for, just appearance. Not like look your best, like just
Yeah, a
purely
little bit on the superficial side.
it's beyond superficial, like the worst of the worst, probably the worst of what the Kardashians get criticized for. I could certainly give them compliments for business tactics from their mother, but the things that people just go and so we were literally about to sign a contract, and I met with Franco, my business partner, and I went, "Hear me out on this. This can be a company decision, but." I was all in, and then I started researching how med spas promote, and it's a real turnoff. And I said, as I've gotten older, there's something that came from my sales training, which I have applied to PR, which is per my sales training, you can't sell something to somebody else unless you are completely sold on it yourself, and that
Hmm.
it would be an almost transgression for somebody else to use a competitor. Like, how could you possibly like it would be harmful? Why would you, right? And I've kind
Yeah.
of extrapolated that to PR. Like, if I don't believe in what you do now, not when I was maybe 22, I can't PR that thing. I can't talk to an editor and go, listen, right? And I said, my heart is not in this. And he goes, and I showed him the links, and he goes, and I said, and this med spa area, it turns out is a bit creepy. Like it's not quite regulated. So there are some that are completely legit, and there are some where you go in and you think these are doctors and they've got lab coats, and they're just people that are just looking like that have been trained to use these machines, and there's lawsuits, right? So to your
Hmm.
point, we opted not to go in that direction, even though it fell in our quote wellness category, because
Right.
I just felt dirty. I like the term you used. What was it? Your what? Your personal. What did you call it?
Oh, psychic tax. Yeah.
Psychic tax. I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. I just said I can't do it. Like I can't with conviction pitch an editor or a cover story.
I learned that pretty early on when I first came out to LA. I needed some money, and so I got a job selling vegetable choppers. And you go out and you do the little chop chop chop, and this is the thing, and it's great for making salsa and whatnot. And you got your whole pitch right, and at the end of it, it's like, okay, so here it is, it's $20, and if the person was like, I don't really need that, 99% of me would be like, yeah, right, you're right, you probably don't. You can do this with a knife. It's just a fancy way to chop things up, right?
Right.
Heart wasn't in it at all. The only reason I was doing it was because I needed to make rent.
Right.
Now, my next sales job that I got was selling artwork, and it, wasn't like super high end whatever artwork, but it was artwork, and it was something in the aesthetic field, and it would brighten up a home, and it would make a living room look nice. That I could talk to someone for 30, 40 minutes, no problem. And I would be like getting them to imagine it in the room and what it would look like. And because it would improve the space, it would improve their life, even just a tiny little bit. And I knew that with certainty. So I had some conviction about it, just like you say. Totally
Interesting.
agreed. I think we're very much on the same page there. Listen, dude, we are almost out of time here.
No
And I
worries.
feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Our
Yeah, it's cool.
conversations usually end something along these lines of like, listen, we've got to go. I want to keep talking to you.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun. I hope you can chop it up and or whoever listens will get something out of it because it's a nuanced conversation, like you said, with related fields. And most people aren't privy to the nuances. And I'm not a two valued logic, meaning it's this or that. I think there's a lot of gray in between. And I actually live for conversations like this to kind of learn from the related subject and how can I apply it to my own and how can I work together and not take this adversarial frenemy crap on the other person's thing. My solution is better, but go like, no, It's not a monopoly, it's a pie. You know what I mean?
Totally. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you taking the
Yeah,
time. I highly value your expertise and your points of view on these things.
mutual. Thank you.
Yeah.